Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about the proportions of our letter forms. Now I had a professor who used to tell me that good artists borrow and great artists steal, which of course he stole from Vincent van Gogh, who probably stole it from somebody else. We're going to also look at taking proportions from other typefaces, but that's all we're going to do. We're not going to copy any of their movements or copy any of their strokes. We're just going to take the proportions so that we have an idea of how we measure out our letter forms. So let's take a look. So I've started a new doc here in Glyphs, but I'm going to go and open a favorite font of mine that we're going to use just to get the proportions from Noto Serif. With Noto Serif open in Glyphs, you can see all the characters they've drawn, the dozens and dozens of characters and languages and all the things that they've included. We're just going to look at some of the basics. So we're going to pull in our uppercase O and H and our lowercase n and O. And with those open, we'll zoom out, and all I'm going to do is measure what these things are looking like, and I'm going to do that by getting a shape. So in our H, we have the width of the stem, which is about this wide. So our stem is about that wide. I might have been off by a pixel or so. And our horizontals are this wide. And just like that, I have my measurements for how wide my strokes are and how narrow they are. We're looking at the different proportions of our uprights and our horizontals. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to open my capital O, and I'm going to paste it in here just to hold on to. Then I'm going to get a circle because I like to use the square edges as a measurement for my square shapes and a round measurement tool for my round shapes. I'm going to say that my round or my curves are about this wide, so that's the width, and then I'm going to pull up to about here and say my curves are about that thick. And then, because I like to make one tool, I'm just going to lay these over to the top of one another, and already we can see some things that are happening. The curves are a little bit wider and taller than our straight edges. Those are for optical reasons. So we're going to copy this, and I'm going to open up my other font.
Time for a quick break in the content to ask if you're enjoying what you're watching and seeing, to please subscribe to the channel, because that's the best way to support what's going on in this channel. If you're already subscribed, be sure to like the video, comment on it, and share it with somebody new. All right, back to the action.
And in my new font, I'm going to add a new glyph, and I'm just going to call it ASDF measure. I'm just going to call it my ASDF measure because it's easy for me to type that in search later. Then I'll paste it in there and see that it ends up way up here. We'll bring it down and leave it just like that. Now we'll do the same thing with the lowercase. Again, back in Noto Serif, we're going to go to our lowercase n, and I'm going to draw a rectangle that's as wide as that character is. And I don't really have a width here, and that's okay. I'll cut that, paste it into here. I'll grab my circle tool. I'll draw it as wide as that character is. I may have missed that width a little bit. That's pretty close. And then I'll drag it up here for the thickness of my lowercase stroke. Again, I'll drag it down and put it over. And it looks like in this case, they're about the same, which is great. That'll make my measuring easier. Maybe what I want to do is we'll just bring this into touch so that already we're adjusting it. And we're not just stealing, we're adjusting and playing with this so it becomes custom to the details that we want. Then I'm going to copy that, open up my other font again, and I'll move my uppercase one up high and my lowercase one down low. And just like that, I've got a measuring stick that gives me my proportions. All this is going to do is guide the proportions of my strokes inside of these characters. Already, I can see that these are going to be a little thick. If I had a capital H, there was only this tall. So let's say, here's my cap height, what it says my cap height should be. And it's only that tall. I'm fixing to draw a really thick H. You can see down that preview there what that's shaping up to look like. So just keeping the proportions, I'm going to scale those down a little bit to something that I think will be a little bit more reasonable. With those drawn, I'm going to say that that's pretty good, and we can go back into Notice Serif, close it out, make sure we don't save it, and now we've got our measurements. In the next video, we'll start with why it's so important to start with the capital H and capital O.
I hope this video was useful for you and helpful and you learned something new along the way. If you did, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and be sure to like the video and share it with other type nerds out there so we can get more people designing beautiful typefaces.